California decides to regulate... I can't even read this without... Hold on. Gotta take a deep... California decides to regulate cow farts in order to fight global warming. California has become the first state in the union to regulate cow farts. The Golden State enacted legislation in September that will regulate greenhouse gas emissions from farms and landfills, including cow flatulence, a major source of methane, which is more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide.
So they're just going to tax the farmers more money is what I'm getting
from the Associated Press. If we can reduce emissions of methane, we can really help to slow global warming, says Ryan McCarthy, a science advisor for the California Air Resources Board, which is drawing up rules to implement the new law.
I have a question. How are you going to reduce farts? Are you going to bag them? Are you going to can them? Like you're gonna duct tape like glass jars to their buttholes, and when they fart, you swap them out and tie them up real quick and sell them on eBay.
Livestock are responsible for 14.5% of human-induced greenhouse gas emissions, with beef and dairy production accounting for the bulk of it, according to a 2013 United Nations report. Since, no pun intended, since the passage of its landmark global warming law in 2006, I wonder if they wrote this intentionally using the word passage. They're like, what kind of words could we use for euphemisms for passing gas? Since the passage of its landmark global warming law in 2006, California has been reducing carbon emissions from cars, trucks, homes, and factories while boosting production of renewable energy. In the nation's largest milk-producing state, the new law aims to reduce methane emissions from dairies and livestock operations to 40% below 2013 levels by 2030, McCarthy said.
But how? They've yet to say anything about what they want to implement.
State officials are developing the regulations, which take effect in 2024.
So the idea was like, we want to have less gassy cows. All right, so we have 6 years to figure out how.
So, depending on how the regulations are crafted, they could result in price increases on milk and other dairy products for consumers all over the country. California dairy farmers say they're already struggling with high labor costs, a drought, and low milk prices. The new regulations, combined with the mandatory increased overtime pay that was enacted by the California legislature this year, could force many dairies out of business. California regulators plan to combat the methane that is produced by the digestive system of cows. Cows release the methane when they pass gas, belch, or produce manure. Here's an answer to your question. One of the ways they plan to reduce methane emissions is by requiring farmers to change the diets of their cows.
So then they're going to have shitty milk. Thanks.
For example, Australian scientists have discovered that adding a sprinkle of dried seaweed to a cow's diet reduces the amount of methane it produces by 99%. So they're going to start feeding cows sushi. The same scientists who made that discovery are now trying to scale up seaweed production to meet global demand. There is no estimate on how much this seaweed will cost. Relatively cheap, I'm sure.
Actually, we've been running lower and lower on seaweed. Seaweed's a major problem in the world.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure because of global warming and the temperatures of the oceans.
I think that it's
among other things. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, seaweed is one of the things that's become increasingly more and more less common. I don't want to use the word rare because it's not rare yet, but it's on its way there. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was...
Or is it algae?
Algae. I think you're thinking algae. Seaweed...
Isn't algae and seaweed...
I think as the ocean waters warm up, it's easier to grow seaweed.
Isn't algae and seaweed essentially the same thing?
Seaweed, well, yes. Seaweed or macroalgae refers to several species of macroscopic, multicellular marine algae. The term includes some type of red, brown, and green macroalgae. So it depends on the climate, but...
And the type of seaweed?
Yeah.
So basically, I'm partly right. Got it.
Anthony said algae and seaweed are not the same thing, even though I read the official definition.
I think
they are.
You didn't listen.
Oh, Anthony's not always right.
Yes, seaweed.
No, it's not a seaweed. Seaweed or macroalgae refers to several species of macroscopic multicellular marine algae. So yes, it is.
They may not be the same family, but I'm pretty sure, like, if the temperature of the oceans and the climate and stuff are affecting one type of algae, they're going to have at least some effect on all the algae, including the seaweed.
Another idea being explored by California regulators is to require more dairy farms to install methane digesters, which burn methane gas and use it to produce electricity.
So they're going to stick tubes up the cows' butts, and they're going to pipe that gas into an electric farm. Sweet, we could power electric cars off cow farts.
This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I'm glad we figured that one out. Elon Musk, got a new challenge for you. Cow farts, electric cars. They go together.